Thanks for being here. Much appreciated. With this All Black Everything Roundtable, which we do Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, we have a great group of guests here. In fact, we're supposed to have one more. Hopefully, they show up soon. But we'll just get started now. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, of course, to become a YouTube member by hitting that join button. If you enjoy having those YouTube videos, they are daily, right? If you like relying on that and having that service, then help us support that channel. Becoming a YouTube member, hitting that join button helps out so much. Thank you so much for the people who do. All right, moving on. We will start to we're gonna do introductions for these people, and then we'll go from there. All right. We'll go with Jay. All right, like Wiggle has to go last, but like Black American cannot go first after that shit. So Jay, thanks for coming through and being here and having some sense.
We'll
like
see.
You know. But anyway, Jay, how you doing?
I'm doing better. I will preface this with I'm doing better. But on Saturday, I got in a bike accident. I like fell off my bike wrong, and I chipped a tooth. I busted my lip, and I had a black eye. But because I fell on my head. But I'm doing a lot better now. And I want to advocate in my open to always wear your helmet, because I was wearing my helmet, and that's probably the only reason why I'm not in the hospital. So.
Absolutely, we're glad you're okay. Are you sure
I don't
Azzy had
believe
nothing to do with it? Azzy like
This is
thought
what
he
you
could
call.
hide.
This is what you told the cops. Where is he? Where is he?
It's Azzy right there. It's like he disappeared.
Wow.
I love how Azzy just faded in like a 90s
know you
music
love
video.
it,
We
but
just
he's
gonna
trying
let
to
that
get
shit
this
slide.
way. He can't be doing this to women anymore. Mike,
Fail.
Mike.
I did it to myself. I'm accident prone. I don't know what to say.
Fail. Let us know.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, no, but seriously, Jay, we're glad you're okay. We're glad you're making it. Yeah, chipping it too. That I know. Oh, was it anything that you could see? One that you can see?
Yeah, it's
Oh.
it's my friend too.
Oh,
Ooh, I did that to
Can't
mine
tell.
once.
yeah.
Ain't no
Can't tell.
problem.
No,
You can put some Bondo on it. They'll go to the dentist.
no,
I'm serious.
I'm going to the dentist. I'm going to
Yeah.
the dentist
They'll
next
put a
week.
little
So
filling in.
it'll be
Ah,
taken
you
care
know
of.
who else has like weird front teeth? Tom Cruise.
For
I
real,
wouldn't know.
and he got his fix, and they look great.
Listen,
Yeah.
J. Cole. J. Cole
Denzel
got a
too.
song for you.
Denzel too.
J. Cole got a song for you.
All right,
You
let's
crooked smile.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the...
let's move on to Azzy, who's looking a little suspicious here, right?
My stomach hurt. My stomach hurt.
Azzy, thanks for being here.
They eating all
Right?
the post.
And he does look like he's from a 90s music video, all white like that, like up to his neck. Like he does look
like-
like no fucking around, right?
Look like old Lando Calrissian, but in like a
Oh.
90s music video vibe. Like
Lando Calrissian.
You look
Never
like
mind.
one of
Don't even worry
the
about it.
black kung fu movies.
Nope, I'm leaving.
That one.
Look at the panel tonight.
Now you look like the black Backstreet Boy.
Man just asked, who's Lando Calrissian? Nope.
Hold on, did Bam? Did you see?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He did. He did.
Bam?
He did. He
He's trying to
did.
fly under the
Bam
radar
He's
with that.
googling it right now.
Bam
He's
did.
googling it right
Bam
now. Bam, you're terrible.
I don't know who Lando is.
I'm afraid to ask.
Oh
the
my
What was the name?
God.
This is the movie
Oh,
person.
No.
He says he's the movie person. He doesn't know who
Bro, he
Lando
said he was a
Calrissian
black
is.
movie person too.
Bro, Star Wars is boring. I've watched all of them. They're so boring.
Never
Wow.
mind. That's
Wow.
kind of an excuse. That's kind
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Lando Calrissian? That's
He
what he
didn't
said?
know who that was. The
Heard
movie
it here
person.
first, folks.
All right, he's gonna tell us Mr.
Star
Movie
Wars is
here.
boring.
Okay. Anyway, Azzy, thanks for being here. All right. Thanks for coming through. All right. All right, we'll just leave it there. And move on to Monty.
That's why you don't get no subscribers. Like,
Wow.
y'all be hating on me, and they be watching the YouTube.
Yeah, that's right.
And they be
That's
like,
right.
Yo, why they doing that?
Yeah, that's right. That's what they
That
feel
ain't
like.
right.
That's what they feel like. Yeah.
And then
It's all the Azzy fans on the YouTube, right?
You know he opened when he looking at the YouTube like, who said positive shit about me?
Yeah, I be watching, bro. I be watching. I be reading the comments.
Can't do it. F2 search. Like,
Wow.
as he-
Okay, let's go. Eli Monty, thank you for being here. Eli, is that your
Family.
fiance in the background?
Yes, that is her.
Bring her over. Bring her up. Like
Hold on.
Bam showed
They
off
want
his
you to-
lady.
They want you to come over.
Hold
Yeah,
on,
Bam,
Melanin.
Bam's woman
Hold
always
on.
comes in frame.
Yeah.
You have, to,
Uh-oh.
you, have to, you have to come in frame. You have to come in
Hold
frame.
on,
Alright,
Melanin
Like they
check.
bringing a pillow together.
Oh hey, hi.
Melanin check. Where's she
Come
from?
look up
on.
there.
Yeah, give her a warm welcome. It's nice to meet you.
I will not stand for this. This is the all black panel. Can you just please?
She from
No.
Dominican Republic? What's going on?
Oh,
Please?
She from the DR?
I don't feel safe.
Puerto
I don't
Rican?
feel
What's
safe.
going on?
I don't feel
They're a
safe.
cute couple.
Safe. I don't
They're a
feel
cute
safe.
couple.
Like,
We got this little
always-
pillow that her birthday was on
Can you turn
Valentine's
that
Day,
around?
and
Can you turn that around?
no,
Bro,
I love
it's
this pillow.
always
I
the
love this
black political streamers, bro. Y'all something right ain't right with y'all, bro.
pillow. What you trying to say? What you trying to say?
Yeah, what are you trying to say,
I-
Azzy?
Oh,
I am
Was she
revered by
from-
like a lot of black people in my audience who say thank you for like dating outside of your race, but like not turning into a major you know what you know the
They
word that we're
thank-
not
they
gonna say
thank you?
on panel.
you know what I'm saying? You know what?
Yeah, because
Every
I'm gonna
black
you know what?
streamer I know tells me it's a thankless job.
You know what? Because I don't know what it is. For some odd reason, especially on TikTok, especially with these middle-aged black dudes, you give them a white woman and $2, and all of a sudden they think they king of the world. They think can't nobody tell them shit, especially a black woman. Don't let a black woman try to tell them nothing. Oh my God! All of a sudden it's like, see, this what's wrong with these black females. Like can't deal with it.
Or
Can't deal with it. Nope. I'm out.
Listen.
Like nope, can't deal with it.
Wow.
But I'm doing well. You know, as you can see, I'm repping Godzilla gang. You know, best gang, Godzilla gang, Kaiju gang.
Gojira.
Yeah, Gojira going strong. Yep. King Kong can get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Chill out.
Yeah. Chill out. Yeah,
Chill out.
I'm doing fine. I'm doing all right. I'm going to I have a funeral to go to on Monday. It's for my great grandmother. She was 100 and she died last week, but we're not really mourning. We understood that she was like, she even knew that she was like on her way, like she was getting ready. She was packing her stuff up. I'm not even lying. She was like packing her stuff up. But nah, everything besides that, everything is going good. Thanks for having me on stream. Always a delight.
Okay. All right.
Rest in power,
The piece
Grandma.
to a real
Monty.
one.
Yeah, 100%.
So since we
Rest
last
in power.
checked in with Black American Made, like he's actually made things worse. Like what I said, like you let him keep talking, he's gonna break our hearts. So we lost the speaking privileges for now. We're moving on.
Last time on Dragon Ball.
I'm worse than Wiggle. I'm behind Wiggle.
Yeah, you ain't even getting a shot. Look, we've heard enough from you. So we'll throw you back for opening statements.
These roasts be immaculate.
Wiggle.
Roasts be immaculate.
All I gotta say, man, is damn, it took your grandma getting to your great grandma. She had to be 100 years old. 100 years old for them to give them the epithet great. I was deemed great when I was born. They were calling me Great Wiggle the day I was
Wait.
born. I was great.
Shut up and do your intro. We ain't here
I
for
got,
this. Shut up
but I
and do
got
your intro.
grandchildren and I
We
got
not-
Morgan.
we
I'm a
not
Coming in with the
great
yay
great-
energy, I see. Coming in with the
the
yay
illustrious
energy.
here for this.
Yo, they make
We know what
pillows
side you're
with
gonna be
me
on, Wiggle.
alone.
We know what side you're gonna be on. It's okay.
What do you mean? What side I'm gonna be on?
Yeah, Jaeger.
Dude over here showing off all his equipment and his see-through tower and shit, and talk about well, it took for your grandma to be 100 before she was deemed great. Acting like this some MMO title or some shit. Get out of here.
Well, for me, I mean, when I walk around, they don't call me Wiggle. They call me Sir. All right, and it's not me that chooses that. It's just
Last
it's
time I
just
checked, your
the
name
aura
was
I emanate.
Insane Wiggle. There was no great in there. It was just Insane Wiggle. Like I
implied. It's implied from the second. you
implied
see me.
how? Implied
The
how?
second you look at me,
Oh,
it's
This
like the
another
anime
thing.
moments where there's a
This
glint in
another
the
thing.
glasses.
Dudes like you
You
with
know
these,
that you need to call me
with
something
these
before you
see-through
call my name.
towers
okay.
and
Oh my God.
dreadlocks think y'all run shit
All right.
all the time.
It's a half hour, right? A half hour. We still not gonna start it. Let's do it. Let's get it done. All right. Thank you all for having to deal with all this, sticking around. What few
Philly
audience
in the
members I
chat.
still have. All right.
Listen, I
So
come to
we
I come to hear y'all.
topic
I come to hear y'all make
one.
sound crazy and
Topic one. There are a wide variety of dating apps available on the market. some of those dating apps segregate people by demographic. This can be by religion, age, or race, or etc. Specifically, when it comes to race, do you think it serves Black people and other minorities to self-segregate themselves? Now, diversity is a positive in other parts of life. Should also not be the case in the world of dating. Or does it make sense in this one area that people segregate themselves from a potentially hostile audience? Okay, yeah, let's do it. Start with opening statements with Wiggle.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's perfectly fine for other people to segregate themselves because I ain't trying to be with nobody that don't want to be with me because I'm Black or some shit. So, like, for me, it's like, y'all can segregate all you want, so it makes my life a lot easier. I think it's kind of, like, weird. But then I've also heard from certain people that, like, it's terrible. It's terrible. It's like, it affects your choices and affects your availability in certain areas, especially if the demographics of your area are, like, ultra white and you're a Black person. It affects your, like, maybe even your self-esteem, all these kind of things. I know where I live, I have a weird kind of situation where I live on Long Island, and New York City is a certain distance away, and the second I go to a certain distance, I got way more Black people, and it's great. But if I go, like, a little bit early, it's like, it's straight up, like, it's one of them Tom Cruise movies. So, like, I don't know, like, I understand the struggle, but me personally, I don't really think, I really don't think about it. I think of, like, I want all my options. I'm not that guy that can limit their options. You feel me? All right, and that's it.
Okay, Black American made.
I am that guy that can limit his options. You were looking for him, you found him. I'm him.
I'm not surprised.
So it's weird that while y'all are like, the frame of the question was like, how do Black people feel? Like, do we feel excluded? Like, do we feel like it's discriminatory? Like, I feel the exact opposite. I'm like, this was like when apps don't have like a race feature. I feel like oh my god, this is gonna take so much longer because I am excluding everyone else. I exclusively date Black women. So like knowing that I can like pull up people that actually I date Black and like people. Also, I usually double check like mixed gender, not mixed gender, but like mixed people. Because I'm like, usually 90% of them are gonna be Black as well. But yeah, like I exclude others. This does not harm me in the slightest. This is actually extremely convenient. And at the end of the day, people who don't want you aren't going to want you. So like, if they don't want to date Black people, they're not gonna want to date you. So you might as well not waste each other's time. Like the people who are left or apparently have you somewhat, within their crosshairs, and I feel like it shouldn't bother anybody. It's just convenient for people who know that they don't want to like waste each other people's times, like myself.
Jay Cook.
That did not surprise me at all.
All right, I won't even make the joke. Jay Cook, thank you. Please go ahead. I'm not gonna say it.
Oh no! Now I want to hear it.
No, I don't want to say it. Jay, please.
Talking about scary movie.
Yeah, I mean, in my personal life, like, I don't segregate. Like, I don't think it's not something that I do. It's not like, oh, I'm only gonna date Black men or I'm only gonna date white men. I think, like Wiggle said, that like limits your options. And personally, using the apps, I think race doesn't matter that much when it comes to like meeting people. But that's just me. I also agree with the area thing. When I go home for the holidays and I'm swiping, not that many Black people live in my parents' neighborhood. I don't know what to say, so I can't limit my options.
Okay. All right. What do you reveal what state your parents live in? If not, that's okay.
No, I did not.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to swing.
No. I'm just curious. I'm just curious if it was like. I'm just curious if it was like Arkansas. Like she lived in Arkansas. Like, oh, okay. All right, that makes sense.
No.
Okay. All right. That's cool.
There's a lot of Black people in Arkansas.
That's why I asked.
No.
No white people.
Maybe
no.
Utah. I don't know. Or Rhode Island.
Yeah, those seem pretty white.
I'm assuming it's one of those. All right, let's go. Let's go to Assy then.
I have no problem on these apps, man. You know, and since I am a, you know, I'm a wholesome looking gentleman. I get all the wholesome matches, right? I get all the good girls, right? So I'm happy on my dating apps. So I don't need to segregate. This sounds like a Vosh question. What does that even mean? Segregate? Self-segregate? That's like saying, what do you say? Going to a HBCU is self-segregating? This sounds stupid. But, you know, it's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. The only problem I'd have with it, if you're doing it for like a political reason. You know, I need to build my family so we can run for state and have a beautiful black looking family so I can get alderman. I'm like, no, you don't got to do all that. That's a little too calculating, a little too sinister.
You say that, but you'd vote for them. That's the worst part.
I would. I'm not gonna lie. I would. Okay. But I don't want to. I hope you lie about it. Don't tell me the truth. I'll be honest with you. God forbid. But yeah, I have no problem with this. If anything, there's this Christian app that I use called Upward. Man, the black women on there, I don't even have to self-segregate. They find me. Right? They find me.
Out.
Right? It's just weird because when I leave, when I don't choose my preference in terms of race or culture, like I'll get these, like the weird pink head, you know, tatted up, you know, nose ring, all in it, white girls from France. Like I get all the weirdos, you know, like the clean looking white girls, they don't swipe right. So, you know, sometimes I just choose, you know, my preference just so I can avoid that. So I don't have to see that on my when I'm looking for my matches. I don't want to see the weirdos.
But you match with them though, right?
I don't match with them.
Oh no. If it looks like Tinder,
an algorithm,
and you have to swipe right, well, that means you match with them, right? That means you swipe right on them as well.
No, as you're swiping, they show you potential matches or people.
Yeah, I know, but to know that they liked you, you have to like them.
Oh, I pay. I cut the foolishness. I don't want to go around.
You down bad?
I want to know who liked me, so I don't have to keep swiping right forever.
Oh, I see. There's a pay option where you don't have to do that. Okay.
I just pay to win at that point. I used to be that guy like, oh, paying to win, you're a loser. But no, I've grown. I don't want to do. I don't want to do that.
You're not for that like Christian rock aesthetic with the tats.
No. The what's that?
The rehab
app? Christian Mingle.
For that shit.
Christian Mingle is a great app. They give you a percentage, as in who is like the top percentage match for you. So you'll have your 80% matches where like, oh, I'm spiritual, I'm still searching, and then you'll have your 90% matches where like all their answers
supposed to be open?
align. What happened?
Isn't I mean, aren't we still doing like our openings?
Yeah, oh yeah, and people kept talking. I know. This is kind of spiraled. I apologize.
Eli, you remember how he cut my? Remember how I didn't get an intro? Listen,
I'm eager to go, but I'm also eager to hear the end of what Azzy is saying.
Okay.
Like, there's an end somewhere. The tunnel, it's going. Is there lights somewhere?
I don't know, man. There's no light in the tunnel.
These, like,
it's forever.
Right.
This is like after this, I might be silent for a little while because you know I'm saying all my good stuff now.
That's fucking.
And then I'm gonna listen to the stupid stuff you guys say.
That's a fucking lie. Moving on, Eli Monty, go ahead.
You know, as someone who in the past has been on dating apps, I don't think I've ever seen like a race segregating option, like where like race is like, you know, a subcategory to like fill in. I don't think I've ever seen that before. So I don't know what apps y'all are using. Or maybe that's like a newer thing. I just haven't been on these apps.
It's built in the white people. So like it's already built in, it's onboarded.
It's already built in the white people. So I think in general, like regardless of like what your race is, be black, white, whatever. if you only limit yourself to like one specific demographic of like people, you're kind of like missing out on like all the other people that you could like experience in like the dating sphere. And like it's funny because I actually talked about this kind of stuff on my stream earlier this morning. We talked about stuff like this. And one thing I came up with was like, we don't really have like a list of people of like qualities that we want in a person, but we do have like a general like ballpark that we tend to like for people to be in. And so like when someone's like hitting in that ballpark, right? And then you say, but you're not black. Like, it's like, but dude, why? Why is that? No offense
I'm
to
sorry,
Bam,
I
but
didn't
like,
mean to
why
laugh.
is that?
I'm sorry.
Why is that? No, you're cool. Why is that like? Like you could have had fun. You could have had a great time, but because like you clearly he or she was hitting home runs, and then you said, but you're not black though.
They're gonna make
I
him
don't
watch
get it.
Top
I
Gun.
don't get it.
They're gonna
I
make
don't
him watch Star Wars. That's
Is this
just boring shit.
can we go open? Because I want to answer that.
Okay.
I mean, my
You finish up.
fiance has like made me watch things I've not seen before that like I've probably been like, I don't know, do I want to watch that or not? But like
The Lake House.
it's an interesting. Not that she hasn't gone that far.
Dawson's Creek.
Interesting
The
The
enough
Lake
though.
House.
When you said Lake House, reminded me of Little House on the Prairie, which my mom watches. My mom watches that.
This is the Kute Kente parents.
Nobody asked you.
This
But
is-
thanks.
You white friends are
This
the
is-
people that make you watch the show Friends, The Office. They make you watch
No,
like
okay,
the
The Office
movie
is funny.
Step Brothers.
The Office is funny. Friends, on the other hand,
The
can't
Office
do it.
is not funny. I'm tired of people
What do you-
saying that. Y'all
No,
are.
The Office is funny.
Oh my
Like,
God,
The
these
Office-
terrible
Yeah,
media
definitely
takes.
dry humor.
All right, we need to focus on this, well, because we're
Yeah.
on a spiral once again, right? So
Let me answer his question. Actually.
go ahead.
Like,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's like we're using language like limit, but this seems to be the only like time the only category we ever use that. I believe that sexual preference or sexual attractiveness is something that we understand in every other category except for when it comes to race, and we like try to act like it's not a real thing when race is probably one of the like biggest things that has to do with like phenotypically, like the way people look, the way people look is based heavily off of the race of the person. But we don't tell someone who's heterosexual, like, dude, you like just liking, the opposite sex, like that's so limiting. That's so don't you feel limited? Like, no, this is within my category of people that I'm willing to date. These are the category of people that I like. And I feel like the same can be true for race. Like, and this isn't just for black people, it's for white people. Like, I feel like dating is the one area in life that you're supposed to be as discriminatory, as exclusive, and like, and no, you don't have to justify the reason, because the reason who you choose to date, because it's your, like, it is just for you. It doesn't harm anyone else by saying I won't date you. So I believe that people should like reasonably be able to set whatever parameters, however like unreasonable or unrealistic you may think they are, and if they're okay with it, then it should be okay with everybody else.
Before, because I gotta leave and come back. It should be more for internal reasons than external reasons. If you're vetting somebody, it probably should be more for internal reasons overall the external reasons, because a lot of times people like all their boxes get checked, like Monty was saying, but then white. Oh no.
Yeah,
this ain't
yeah.
it.
I'm like, no matter what, there's gonna be like,
Okay, hold on
even
a second.
if you have like skin
Yeah,
color
I'll be right back.
preferences, no matter what, there's going to be extremely beautiful people to you within like every skin color like category. There's gonna be someone you could be like, oh, I really don't like this group, and then within that group there's gonna be people that you're like, well, shit, so it's like you're already ruining that opportunity. Like, even if you have preferences, there's gonna be preferences within every single group.
I wasn't laughing at you, Wiggle. I was just laughing at the fact that, like, as he said that he was gonna be right. What is that? Is that?
Yeah,
Okay.
Charlie, he does this Charlie Brown thing.
I know you weren't laughing at me.
he
You were
just- he just
laughing with
faded.
me.
Yeah.
Nobody
He just
laughs
faded-
at me.
He just faded into the ether. He just faded
Come
away.
on, come on. All right, let's focus.
Anyways, I wanted to point. I mean, this might open up like a slight can of worms, but like I do understand how some people might not want to date white people, and people in chat, please hold your horses and hold your stallions and shit. But some people people of color might not want to date white people because of like traumas that they've experienced and that people of color have experienced at the hands of white people. So like I could understand if like God, I'm trying not to sound like a bigot with this one, but I could
You're failing. Go ahead.
understand. I could understand why a person of color might be a little, standoffish. A person in America, at least, might be a little, standoffish when, and this is coming from a person who is like about to be married to a white person. I can understand if a POC in America could be, a little bit standoffish when first approaching, white people with like a dating perspective. And I've talked about this before with like other black people where it's like, or I've seen it with like white people, where white people will purposely go out and get with a person of color, specifically a black person, because they know that it's going to trigger their family members. They know they're doing it to get back at their dad. And as a matter of fact, I was that black person in one relationship, and I said, never a goddamn again. That ended quickly.
And then you did it again.
No. Well, no, I never let myself be, because I consider that kind of like a rebound. Like I'm the rebound Negro. For even in like
Was she
Shit,
cute?
bro? Somebody's got to be Andre Drummond, my guy. Like somebody got to be
like.
Was she cute?
Yeah, she was cute.
Oh,
she
I don't see the problem here then.
But no, my problem with her was the fact that, and this is why what I was getting at was that like there are white people that will do that on purpose, and they don't understand how they are in a way putting people of color in a dangerous situation, or potentially putting people of color in a dangerous situation when they do stuff like that. And she didn't understand that. Like where she lived was a place that I went out there and I got looks from every white person when I rolled up through there. I got looks from every white person. Like, what is he doing here? Like, they got them down south.
I'm picturing her mom with the little spoon, like sink.
Honestly, like they looking at me like, what you call one of them there, Paul? They like, oh yeah, they got them down south with Louis too. They call them fill in the blank here. Yeah, like I could understand. Like again, I don't necessarily support like people discriminating based off of race, but I can understand if people of color do it because of experiences that they've had with white people, like in the past. We got it,
Eli. We got it, Eli.
I feel like I feel like that was so unnecessary. Like whenever
that was extremely
unnecessary.
When we moved, no, I'm saying like whenever we jump to like the trauma like justification that like because we believe that's the only way we can justify. Like,
well, no, I just couldn't think of like
people can legitimately have preferences. People can legitimately say like this is the area I grew up around.
You can
these are the people I like. I grew attractive. Like this is what like my culture, the way I grew up, the type of people I find attractive happen to fit into this like this. Not I wouldn't say stereotype, into this like range of type. Like I like chocolatey skin. I like full lips. I like.
You just say like you can have preferences. I'm just saying like if you have like. When it comes down to stuff like, race or whatever, I think like, it's kind of, you could miss out on like some good times. That's all. That's all.
How is race like, do you like, there was like why race is so important to someone's like physical attraction? We all agree with the concept of physical attraction.
What do you mean? Because like, I'm attracted to just women in general. Like, it don't matter. No matter what your race is, honey. Like,
and that's cool. I'm not saying, and that's cool, but I'm saying that like race is like, race does describe like races. People look very particular based on race, and if there are features that you generally find attractive, and there's things that you're like not compromising on. Like, no, I like dark skin. I like and not like tan white girl dark skin. I like dark skin. If that's something that you like that you're only gonna find that in this type of person.
That's skin deep though. That's a skin deep though. Like I said, like
physical attraction is something that can't like it's not the only thing, but it's always an important thing. If you're not,
I do believe it is important, but like I don't know. I just fuck. I lost my train of thought. Anyways, somebody else can jump on in. I lost my train of thought.
So hold on, we got a new person here. Let's all let them in. Hello, I see you, Philly.
Hello.
Thanks for being here. What are your thoughts? Yeah.
Hey, no, I'm just listening, and I agree with Bam and I agree with Eli. So as a prescription in general, I would tell people that, you know, for Black people as a whole, it is not conducive to our, I guess, survival in this country to kind of close ourselves off based by race. But on an individual level, I would, tell people, like Dan was saying, if you're attracted to dark-skinned women, if you're attracted to chocolate women, I would tell an individual, go for it. I mean, as long as your reasonings aren't based on like an evil characteristic of the other race, as long as your reasoning isn't based on
like a fetishizing or something. Like, yeah, like it's like natural. It's just like, oh, it's just a thing.
Well, no. What I was gonna say was like, as long as like your reasoning isn't racist, like so. I saw someone in chat say earlier, like, what's wrong? Like, could somebody explain what's wrong with, wanting to choose your own race? And I was thinking about that. There's nothing inherently wrong with it, but if it's like, so for instance, if you're a white lady and you say, I want to date white men because that's who I'm attracted to, that's fine. But if you say I want to date white men because I don't want my kids to grow up and be thugs, and I don't want them to join a gang, I would consider that like racist reasoning, and that wouldn't be a good reason to exclusively date inside your race, if that makes sense.
I agree with that 100%. Like,
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because some people say like, oh, like, because I mean, the reality is, I don't know if anybody on the panel is, but there's a lot of people out there who are bi, and there's a lot of people who like who do think the concept of like holding yourself to one gender, one like sexual archetype, they find that weird. They like, oh yeah, women are cool, but like sometimes they like men, or sometimes they like trans people, or sometimes they just want to suck a dick. I don't know. Everybody has their thing, and they think that it's all super cool and super open, but that doesn't mean that you like it's for everybody. I think everybody's allowed and allowed to find their own lane and decide to be, like I said, exclude everyone that they desire. Because I can't tell you who to date. You're the one that's got to be happy in that relationship, and you trying to put on trying to like prove something to the rest of the world about your internal relationship, like your individual relationship that you got to go home to. I feel like it's super toxic.
Anyone else?
No,
I don't know. Like, I feel like just like that, everybody's free to judge you. Everybody's free to judge you based on your choices and decisions. Doesn't mean you have to listen to them. Like, everybody's free to say what they want. Like, if you're a black person and then you start like dating somebody that's white, and then there's people within your community that are saying things about you, they're free to judge you that way. They're wrong for doing so, but they're free to do so. And so it's like, I understand why people feel the way they feel, because those are justified feelings. They're just wrong. It's justified to feel a certain way. It's like if you had a father and a mother that broke apart, and then they started to like date new people, and you are now like an older person, and let's say your parents were divorced or something, and they started to get with somebody new, you'd feel a certain type of way about these individuals. You wouldn't be like, I don't care at all. You'd be like, ah, dad, or like, oh, mom. And like, you're free to feel that way. It could be justifiable to you, but you're probably wrong about it. It's probably their decision.
Yeah.
Do you think that, I guess, oh, my bad, Philly. You didn't say it more than me. I mean, I didn't say it more than you. Go ahead.
It's real quick. I just have a quick anecdote about what Wiggle was saying. People absolutely do judge based on exactly what he said. So just real quick, I was with my current girlfriend, who happens to be white, and we were at the grocery store, and the teller was black, and she was giving my girlfriend a really hard time. And I saw it wasn't going well. They were arguing. They were going back and forth. So I ended up stepping up, and I just calmed the situation down. I charmed the lady a little bit, and she was like, "See, my problem is they always taking the good ones," or like just saying something like that. And I hear little comments like that all the time, like if if it's a black dude dating a white woman, it would be, you know, the white woman is stealing all the good black men. You will hear a lot of black women say that. So I just wanted to just throw that anecdote in because it's very real what Wiggle was talking about.
I'm so sorry, bro. I listen to too much
that's
comedy.
Gotta feel good, right? It's a dark thought, but a part of that's gotta feel a little good of like, yeah, you quelled the fight.
Yeah,
it's over.
took
You're
a
leaving.
good
You're
one,
like
eh?
you're wanted. You're a little bit more wanted.
You
and
know,
you know.
You stole a good fish out their pool, huh?
Yeah,
All the
yeah,
good
I hear
old
that a
boys,
lot.
they stewing, bro. They stewing.
Yeah.
Well, I wanna chime in. I wanna chime in on what Philly said though, because we talked about that's something that we touch up on my stream earlier this morning, and that was that like no offense to like what Philly was saying, but like I've seen it a lot more like the other way around, where like if a black woman is with a white man specifically, like if she's with a white man, she gets a lot harder. She has a lot harder of a time than the other way. Like me being a black man, with a white woman. Like in an interracial relationship, I have not gotten nearly as much of a hard time as I've seen other black women have from dating outside of their race. And that's just as crazy to me. It's really crazy to me. For some odd reason, us black men can go out and be with whoever the hell we want to be with, but then all of a sudden, when one of the sisters does that, all of a sudden it's a problem.
Like I will also say it's funny. It's kind of sometimes harder because it's we're lower on the like dating app, like statistically, like it's harder for black women to find matches. Like it just is.
Which is really weird considering how many white men in particular fetishize black women. It's really weird. Like, never mind. I'm not gonna go farther with that. I'm not gonna go farther with that.
But no.
I couldn't think of. I have the point, but I can't think of ways in which to voice it.
We'll wait. We'll just go through it. I'll focus you.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
no, go ahead, Philly, please.
No, I was gonna say I don't use dating apps much, so I don't know like what the climate's like on the dating apps, but I will tell you this, it's a lot less prevalent for black women and white men to date than the other way around, and than a black man and a white woman. So I think, like, to answer Mam's question, or I think maybe it was Eli who asked this. It's looked upon more harshly because it's a lot less prevalent. Basically, that's a long way to just say that. Long-winded way to say that.
I mean, I think it's also looked at harshly, like, well, not just because it's less prevalent, because there's like a real issue with the way we deal with black women and like their attraction in general, which we've done plenty of topics related to that, about how people like the concept of black features, but not necessarily coming from black women.
Black fishing, yep.
So like black women and black women and Asian men in particular are generally seen as like on the lower end of the attraction scale, which I have no idea why, but that's just the world we live in. So I think whenever people see it happen, they find it like strange, like, wow, you could do so much better, because like, of course, black women can't be the better.
I don't know. Like, I feel like from my perspective, like I'm blurred, like a black nerd. Obviously, you can tell, and it's just like the perspective is weird because like you're with certain people and they expect you to be a certain way, and they think that you can't tell. I don't think they can. I don't think they really know. But it's like the ways certain people act around you, you're like, oh, this is really noticeably odd. It's not the same as, my white friends. It's like maybe these people are seeing me in like a very different way than the people that actually know me. It's like they see what they want me to be, and they talk to me in a certain way or ask me about certain things in certain ways, and it's noticeable. And then on the other way, being with black women seems amazing. It's like, because when you're in an area that's filled with white people, it's like you get some of the most beautiful black women that want to just be with you because you're black. because you're in a white area. So you get this like huge bonus of like, for me, where it's like, damn, you're looking at your matches and you're like, you can tell, you're just like, whoa, this one category of women are just better than these others, and it's not because like anything other than they're selecting for you. And so you're like, whoa, these black women are beautiful. And then you're looking at like the list of people that you matched with that were like maybe white, and then it's like, all right, there's a couple really attractive people, and then it's like people that are not necessarily your type or what have you. And then you see like the black women, it's like crazy. Then the Asian women, it's the same kind of as the white women. And so you can notice those things. You can notice like, wow, like I have way more pull in this racial category. So I can understand that.
There's also interesting people being from like multicultural areas. I'm like I grew up in a predominantly like hyper predominantly white area, so like which is kind of strange that I ended up having such like a strong desire for black women, especially like seeing as how like my high school and like my entire adolescence I didn't get to date black women, but because it got to all my other friends.
I could believe that. I could see that happening.
Mhm.
Not because of you specifically, but like it's kind of like I don't know how to. Again, I have the point, but I don't know how to voice it. Damn.
Mhm.
It's kind of like I guess you feel like something's missing because of like where you were like I've never been around anybody who looks like me, so I want to try to find somebody who looks like me a little bit. Like at least that's the closest I can get to.
I mean, I'm
how
sure
I-
that's part of it. The crazy thing is the opposite, like happened for like all of my, well, not all of my friends, but like generally, like when I was in school, like all the guys who dated white girls in middle school and high school, they now all exclusively date white girls, and like I said, I think there's probably some level of like deep rooted stuff there, but it's also like a largest part to social conditioning of this was comfortable to me at one point, so this is what I'm going to keep doing because this works. But I'd be lying if I didn't say that a large factor in the way I look at dating preferences is based around my father. At when I was really young, I'm saying when I was like maybe 8 years old, my dad did talk to me about the importance of black families and black women in the black community and the way that they were like seen as undervalued. And even at 8 years old, that like stuck with me for the rest of my life. And I try this like I can pretend that like that has nothing to do with it, but I'll be lying. So that
I
maybe.
got a question.
Mhm.
Go ahead, I'm so sorry.
No, you good. I'm done.
Go ahead.
I gotta say, before I know you want to hop in there, Prime. But before you do that, I just want to just pose a quick question to everybody. So, um, what? So you guys are saying like we're talking a lot about the kind of superficial feature, like preferences and looking at somebody and saying, oh, they're black, I want them, or oh, they're white, I want them. So Bam, you're talking about the black dudes who exclusively dated white girls in high school. What? And this question is to everybody. What part of that? And I think well, I won't speak for myself. I knew a lot of black dudes who exclusively dated white women growing up, just because of the area I grew up in. I grew up in a very mixed part of Philadelphia, and so I always wondered what part of that is actual dating preference, and what part of that is like some sort of deep rooted internalized racism or internalized self hate. What like how much do you think that plays a part?
I mean, I think people want to be with who they socially see as like people want to be who like socially seen as like the most attractive people in the area. Like we understand that people are impacted by like the type of media they ingest. And when we were growing up, a lot of like people who were seen as like attractive in media and stuff is like white women. So that's going to be a
Right, like
factor there.
black men in America are conditioned to, are conditioned to find white women. And try to, if I remember correctly, I'm gonna let you finish in a minute, Bam. If I remember correctly, Prime, after the Amazon Lily stream a couple weeks ago, I think I touched up on this about how it's like when you look at a white girl, is she attractive or is she just basic and you've been programmed to like white women?
What?
I said that. Remember?
No, I believe you said it. I wish you didn't.
What you mean? What you mean? You wish I didn't?
To like.
I mean, if you went back and watched like Bring It On, like the main girl in that movie was pretty basic, but like
what does
you
this
don't
even
remember that.
mean? What is this conversation?
Now wait. Gabrielle Union was in that one, wasn't she?
Yes, Gabrielle
Yeah,
Union
she
was
was so bad.
she was so bad. But the main character was like basic, but you don't really remember that, like, because there was a time where
it was Kirsten Dunst. She's hot. She's just back then she was less hot.
What is? Oh my god! I don't know what
the concept was about. The girl next door look. The girl next door was the thing when we were coming up. Like, that was the millennial.
It was, yeah.
The person.
It's kind of creepy if you think about it, because like when we were growing up, like that was around our age, but like there's like mad like older 20s 30-year-old guys watching that shit, so it's fetishized like this like
basic
18-year-old type shit.
Yeah, basic for some people. Other people want to, suck their toes, like the baddest person on earth.
I'm not shaming. Like, everybody has their own thing, but the second part of that is like I said. So there's some level of social conditioning that you want to find. Like, you were taught to find these type of people attractive. I think the other thing that's a lot harder to pinpoint is, and this is gonna be a little spicier. I think that dating white women as a black person, or maybe in general, is just a little bit easier as far as like expectations. Because I think the black women are raised to like not be fast, to be a little more standoffish when it comes to. I'm telling you, I'm going spicy, but I think it's true. I think that there's probably like church like a part of it because of like our religious history.
You live in different areas, man. Like, this is so different. Where I am, it's like white women are like their families are wealthier, so like they're like conditioned by their moms and stuff to be like princesses of like, you don't let any man near you unless like they have what it takes, and like this like weird like a Disney type fantasy type thing of like, you don't let us, and then so it's like it plays this whole thing of like you have to run a game until you finally get what you want, and then it's like, I don't know, like I went to college and it was just like, whoa, like people are different. Like, people are like so different when they're separated from their parents and shit. Like,
yeah, that feels so opposite. Like it seems like every day on Black Twitter, we're talking about $200 dates. We're talking about who's splitting the bill. We're talking about applying pressure, and these concepts is all. And like, these are like exclusive Black conversations about how like the game of how difficult dating is supposed to be. Like, I don't think white people generally do this. I think white people generally just like date and like they go to parties and they have hookups. Like, you know how like, don't get me wrong, Black girls have one night stands, but I think it's like a much rarer thing.
Bam, your South is showing. Your South
it may be my South showing, but like I believe that, I don't know. I'm in Black Twitter. I'm connected. I have a card, and these are the type of things we deal with.
You have a card? What?
So get the white card, bro. Get the white card.
What does that mean? I have a card? What does that mean?
The Black card.
You know what it means.
The white people be talking about the same things.
Yeah,
I've heard
$200 dates.
Yeah.
Yeah, they be going to Hooters,
Hey, I just
taking their date to the Hooters.
Back when
thinking that's a hot date,
I don't know, man. I definitely going off of Philly, like I definitely understand like the internalized racism thing, because like growing up in like a white neighborhood, the most attractive people were always white because the majority of people were white, and so they're always fetishizing like the people who are like who had the most. So it's like the people that were on the sports teams that were doing the best, or the people in schools that had the best grades. They're largely like.
I heard what he said.
There's like a split.
Best looking people.
You would notice a split where they'd be like, oh, there's white people, and then there was this other group that was performing really well. That would be like Asians. However, you would notice it'd be different with how they chose, where it'd be like the most attractive people were always like in the school, like white people. And like you would see like this competing group that they were really good at school. They had really great grades. Asians, they weren't fetishized for being smart. They were just smart. They were just treated as, oh, every Asian has to be really smart. And then you look at like black people, the few that were in my school, the black people, even if they were good at sports or something, they weren't fetishized the same way as the white people that were really good at sports and such. And it felt like coming out of that experience, you're like, oh, this is somebody that's supposed to be really attractive. It just made sense. all your friends are saying these people are really attractive and it just makes sense to you. And then you leave that framework and then you're looking at your yearbook and you're like, oh, they're not that attractive compared to like how it felt when you were in school. And then I'm seeing like more like black people. I hung around a lot more like Latino people in general, so white Latinos and black Latinos, and they were like they were hot as fuck. And then I was just like, this is so weird.
So Wiggle, you had ugly black.
No, I just mean like we didn't have almost any black people in the school.
But were there black women there?
Yeah, 100%. There was like 100%.
I know Mrs. Bam has something to say. I'm saving Mrs. Bam. Her words are precious. All right.
Yeah.
I've just got to ask, wait, were there any attractive black women at that school?
Yeah, 100%. Why?
Were they single? Were you trying to date them?
They're out of my league. They're out of my league. Yeah, I would.
High school.
Okay, you would.
Wait, what's your name?
Did you?
Sorry, hold on.
My name is Tatiana.
Tatiana?
Tatiana.
Okay, we'll go get back to Wiggle in a second. Hello, Tatiana. Thanks for being here. Yeah, we're talking about dating apps and people self-segregating, right? So like going to other dating apps to like avoid mixing with other races, basically, right? But black people do this. Is that a good idea? Is it a bad idea? Yeah, thoughts?
Personally, I don't have any issue with interracial dating. My personal preference is my personal preference. I prefer black men. It ain't got nothing to do with race or anything. And I think my attraction to black men is because I have a black father. And growing up with a black father, you look for certain things in the men you date, and I find those things in black men. So, I find white men attractive, but it's just like there's nothing in them for me personally. And both of my parents date outside their race. My dad has 3 fully grown black children, but at the moment he predominantly dates white women. And my mom, she dates white men. She dates Hispanic men. She's married to a black man right now, but there wasn't never a race issue with me growing up. But I did come from a predominantly white area. So it was the white girls outnumbered the black girls. And I think the thing...
Tell the truth.
I keep going, Tatiana.
The white girls outnumbered the black girls. But I think... the black boys, most of the black girls was related. So it was kind of like off limits.
So I just feel like, okay, but the arguments you just used, right? And thank you for sharing. The arguments you just used, right? If we flip the race, right? Like I'm looking for certain things and I don't find them in black men, right? Like I just don't find that attractive or whatever, right? Like those same arguments, if you flip the race,
why do people do that?
From someone?
Why do people do that? Why do people always do like if we flip the sexes or flip the race?
Why wouldn't you do
really
that?
Can't. You really
because there's a power because there's a power thing that's completely different.
What power thing?
100%. Like if you were like a black individual, right? And then as we were talking before, like if you experienced some level of like racism in your life, like you wouldn't just flip the races, because discrimination against people for the color of their skin if they're white is very different than discrimination against black people for the color of their skin. There's a historic difference.
So like, so pretty much like, okay, so 100% what Wiggle said. So not only that, but like when a black person like may not like a white person, like I said earlier, but apparently a lot of people disagree with me. There is historical context usually behind that. And it's usually valid. The mistreatment that black people have experienced at the hands of white people for generation upon generation. Meanwhile, when a white person dislikes a black person, what the fuck are you doing? What's the point? Like, what have we done to you? Like, what's the point? Like,
what?
It's usually just,
these are dog shit arguments, right?
This is not dog shit. This shows a misunderstanding of race.
Oh,
How do you not understand it?
I misunderstand race. Oh, thank you,
Yes.
Wiggle, for that.
Yes.
You don't know what a
thank
kufi
you for
is.
that. No,
Don't
I was
ask-
confused.
don't ask Prime this
Guys,
question.
I've
Don't
talked
ask
about
Prime this
this.
question. This is a trap hole.
I have talked about this exclusively for like a year.
Obviously
right?
incorrectly.
And then,
Obviously
don't know what a
incorrectly.
wow.
kufi is.
Okay. Nice.
No,
Oh,
wait,
yeah.
hold on.
I misunderstand race. No, thank you for that, Wiggle. I much appreciate it. Right? Yeah. This is a new concept for me. Okay. Any which way, ignoring that. So
wait,
like,
to answer-
hold
know
on,
the
hold
people
to
on.
answer your question.
Okay, I'll let Teddy go first.
Yeah, so to answer your question, if you want to flip that around, well, you actually didn't get to ask your question. You kind of you said if you want. I think I know where you were going with that. So it wouldn't matter if a white girl were to say, oh well, I want to date men like my father, or I find certain features in men attractive, and it's based off my relationship with my parents. I wouldn't find anything wrong if I heard that out of a white person's mouth, and I have heard things like that. I've heard all types of reasons for people of other races saying they wouldn't date black people or date outside their race. Period. I just wouldn't. I don't think that would be an issue for me personally. If your question is like, is that racist? No, I don't think so.
Okay, all right. Well, at least you managed to respond without Wiggle's nonsense. All right, so
Why nonsense? You think that there isn't a power difference.
What difference does that make in that moment
100?
in the dating realm, right? Oh yes, it's like in that moment,
in 100% makes a difference.
It's the
It's crazy you don't see
history. It's the entire history of the black and the white race, like interacting in that moment, right?
Yes,
great.
If you can
So-
acknowledge that systematic racism exists, then you should be able
Well,
to
what does this have to
understand
do?
the
You don't know what
dynamic in
systematic
this.
racism is.
This
If you
ain't
think
that
that has
hard.
anything, if you think that has anything to
I
do
wanna
with
get a
this
jab at the
exact
question.
moment, right? Then you really
Yes,
don't know what
systemic-
systematic racism. You literally don't know what that
systemic
is, right?
racism.
What system is at work here? What system is at
What are you
work
talking
when a white person says like, "Oh, I just don't find those other races attractive"? What system
Every-
is at work?
Social
Why do you
guys
think they
literally don't
value one
understand
person
systemic
over
racism
another?
if you say
Why
that.
do you think they value someone
social
over another?
dynamics are at work here.
That's not systemic
it's not
racism.
just,
What is
yes,
systemic
it is.
racism?
It's not just.
What is systemic racism? Because you
Where
don't
do you
know
think
what
they
it
get
is.
these implicit? Where do you think they
systemic
get the
racism?
implicit
Why you
bias?
ask? Don't put another dumb question out. What is systemic racism? Can you answer
When
that?
you have
If you put
yes,
systemic
you have
racism
these
out there,
institutions. You have these institutions where the effects is that you have implicit biases put on people because of these structures that
is
were
dumb.
placed in society. So
That is
obviously, the
dumb.
implicit bias that someone would experience through
Thank you,
system
Will.
systemic
This is so
racism
simple.
would
You
make
don't
them
understand
view black
systemic
people
racism.
differently.
You do not understand
This is
systematic
rudimentary.
racism. That can affect individuals, but that's interpersonal
Yes, how is the-
racism.
so when they're affected,
Interpersonal racism.
why would they have
That's
the
a completely
bias?
fucking
That's
different
exactly what
thing.
we're talking
This is
about.
not a system. It's not an
Prime,
institution.
no, Prime,
Like-
you misunderstood. We didn't say it's the same thing. I said if you
You
understand
said
the
it was systemic
concept of
racism.
system-
No,
So
he
why
said
would you
if
bring
you
it up?
understood it, you should understand this. That's exactly what he said. He
I
said,
didn't say
if
it's
you
the same thing.
understand it,
So
you would
you're
understand
getting
this.
mad. You gotta
And
relax, bro.
And that's
Chill,
why
bro.
I said, hold on. And what did I
Chill, my
say?
bro.
And then what did I say in response? Because I guess you didn't fucking listen. So listen
You
closely.
asked me what
so listen
systemic
closely,
racism
right?
is.
I said, if you think that has anything to do with this moment, right, then you are wrong. Then you are wrong. That was my response to you. Was it not? Okay, right? And
more
then
you know.
doubled
The more
down
you
on
know.
it. And then you double down on it afterwards. So I don't know.
The more you know.
Whatever.
The more you know.
The more you know,
I'm gonna take
the
it
more
down.
you know.
I'm gonna
You
take
literally
it-
don't know what
the mo-
systemic
no, it's not
racism
the
is,
more.
right?
The more you know.
and then don't pretend like
The
don't try
more
to
you-
walk it back, right? Because then you're like try to apply systemic
No one
racism
walked
to
it
that
back.
moment. I specifically asked
Where-
you about it.
what
and you
is
tried
the
to apply
effect-
it
what
to
is the
that
effect
moment
of-
because you actually don't know what it is apparently.
What is one of the effects
We
of
do
systemic
know what it
racism?
is.
Is
You don't gotta
implicit
call us
bias
dumb.
as an
You know,
individual.
It's okay,
What do you
Implicit
think
bias
implicit
is not
bias is?
systemic racism?
I said one is one of the
We
effects.
didn't say
You're
that.
not listening.
We
You're not
didn't say
listening.
that.
It's not systemic
We
racism. So
didn't
I don't
say
know
that.
what this,
Where are
what-
the why do
That's-
why
Can
do
I get a
why
jab
are
at the question?
why are people today racist?
right? There's a litany of reasons, right? There's
Yeah, what are they?
okay.
All of
There's yeah, he wants all of them apparently, right?
No, I want
so-
some, but you
okay.
can't give me one.
Well, I can't
I
give you
want
one.
some.
Hold on. We keep fucking interrupting
Isn't
me.
this what you were doing
hold
to
on,
us?
Hold on. You kept fucking interrupting me, so I literally couldn't give you one. So here it is. History. I guess.
History.
Yeah,
Which part of
history.
history?
What history? You don't understand that history has something to do with racism? Nothing.
No, don't
Culture,
do that.
right?
What part
You
of
don't,
history?
you don't understand
I'm just
that.
trying to deal with it.
You don't
Don't
get
do
that
that.
either. You don't understand history, culture.
I do get it. I do get it.
okay.
I'm asking which part
Great.
of history. That's pretty vague. That's pretty vacuous. I just want you to elaborate.
Okay, the entire history of the United States and interracial relationships.
Can you flip
from
that
there, right?
on? Can you flip that? Can you do a? Well, what if it was white? Like, isn't history tied to what happened? So, like, how can you just do a flip of the races there? Isn't historical context tied?
It's historical context.
Is
tied.
is the history of white people in America the same as the history of black people in America?
No.
So Prime, if I were to try to
hold on. My point is that in that moment, right? In the moment when someone says a thing, right? To like I don't find this other race attractive, right? You think that it, are you saying that does have something to do with history or not?
No, I said it could.
It could. Okay.
Yes, 100%. Like, I think
only in one direction.
In the example, no. I said in the example, like, of, like, Bam's girl, your girlfriend came on here, and then gave her explanation, talked about her father, etc. I said that made sense because of this thing. And then you took a different statement from what they said. You didn't speak to me. You said that, that's interesting, because what if you, like, flip the races? So I said that it's very different. I don't know why people do this, let's flip the races or let's flip the sexes, because the historical context is different. The situations, the power placement is different. So it's like, if you flip the races between, like, the white race and the black race, and then try to hold it analogous, it's not going to be analogous. It's going to be disanalogous, because the history that white people have experienced is different than the history that black people experience. So the reasoning behind it is different.
There can't be racism behind it.
But I don't think she would care. Like, I think I know she wouldn't care. Like, she legitimately doesn't have an issue with someone saying, like, casually, like, oh, I date people, but, like, I date people because of, like, no, I want, like, someone that looks like my mom or, like, someone like my parents. Like, she finds that to be, like, consistent, but regardless of race. That was actually what she was talking about when she walked off.
But also,
the point is that you're saying that you can't flip these things, right? Well, of course you can, right? In that moment, that person could be doing something racist, could be expressing racist sympathies, right? And to say that, well, you can't flip that because that's not the same, that doesn't mean they can express a racism. You can't be race.
Do you think that all racism is the same, or do you think there's a spectrum of racism?
I didn't say that it was.
I know, I'm asking
saying
you.
spectrum. Yeah, sure, spectrum of racism, sure.
Yeah, so, like, is there an area of what you would call understandable racism, or you think no racism is understandable?
Understandable bigotry.
Yeah, because you live in America, so there's racism all around you. Like, you experience it all the time. And there's a level. There's a level. You say it on your stream all the time.
It's so bad.
It's so
bad.
Okay. What's your understandable bigotry? When can you treat people as less than, or when can you treat people differently from others? And it's just it's okay.
No, when you
well,
I'm saying
somebody
being okay versus being understandable is two different things. It's understandable that, like, it's I don't know. Can I jump to an extreme example?
Please, let's defend racism. Go ahead.
You
have space. Go
We're
ahead.
not defending.
We're not.
No, I'm saying
not doing that.
You said understandable racism. That's what came out of your mouth.
I'm telling you,
understandable racism.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
Hold on.
I understand why they're racist.
I think
Doesn't mean I think
I
have it.
Oh, okay. Nice try. Go ahead.
I was gonna try.
Just let me say it. Okay.
Bam, please.
I think that if
don't
you
hold the
jump
same
to
opinions.
Hold on, Bam. Let me finish. Bam, please.
If you, like, jump into an extreme example just to prove, like, the obvious, an obvious direction, like, say you are in back in the 1800s, you're an escaped slave. If you see a white person, I'm going to assume with every, like, from a self-preservation perspective, they are racist, they are evil, they want me dead. I'm not gonna, like, judge every person by the content. Like, no, I'm an escaped slave. This is a white person. Generally, my experience with white people has been negative. I'm gonna hold this position against every white person I see for the sake of my self-preservation. It's racist. I'm judging you explicitly off of your skin color, but it's understandable.
My example
whether
would be
whether it's
that works
correct
really,
or incorrect.
that works
That's
really
still
well. My
understandable.
example is different. Is that like if people treat you a certain way because they think that you're lesser and they treat you in a positive manner, you would be like, oh, that's understandable. You wouldn't say, shut the fuck up, stop that. If people are like treating you really nice because you're black, they had what was called like white guilt, and they treated
about,
you
like,
really nice
empathizing?
and they helped you a lot. They said, listen, Prime, you don't have to defend yourself. That was racist, and they started talking for you and helping you out effortlessly. And you're in this situation. What you're experiencing is racism, but I'd imagine you'd find it acceptable. You'd be like, oh, you know what? It's understandable. I understand this. This is lower on the totem pole than going after people that want to hurt me for my for my race.
Yeah, Prime, can I just ask you a question? And this is piggyback off of what Wiggle was saying, or trying to say. All right, so Prime, can you sympathize with white nationalists?
Can I sympathize with? Yes, but I'm not in the
not
way.
as human beings, but like with their ideology. Can you sympathize with their?
With the ideology specifically, no.
Yeah. Now, could you sympathize with black nationalists?
Are black nationalists the equal and opposite of them? I would say no any which way, because I don't like their ideology. But yeah, I don't think they're the equal and opposite of those things. But sure.
Wait, you think? Say that again. Say that again.
I say I don't think black nationalists are the equal and opposite of white nationalists.
Okay.
You'd be correct. You'd be correct. I agree.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
But
all right, so,
one way or the other, I don't sympathize with their roles. So.
Okay. All right. So maybe that wasn't a good example since you don't sympathize with either one. My point. My point was that white nationalists they advocate for a certain position based off race, and black nationalists argue a certain position based off race. Are these things exactly equal? No. Are they analogous? To a degree, but I think what Wiggle was trying to say was that, like, in order to sort of understand like where a black nationalist is coming from, you would have to have you would have to factor in race, and sort of maybe most black people can sympathize with their point of view. Now, white nationalists, they're coming from a place of hate, and they're coming from a place of their race ideology is based off of hate. And so I say all that to say that, like, you always have to take in the history of race in the United States when, like, asking racialized questions or trying to come.
I don't
think...
agree with that, but like the second I think like people that are like white nationalists, I don't think a large swath of them, I don't think they think they're being hateful. I think like that is the understanding, because we understand the effects of what they're doing. So people will go to white nationalists and be like, you're hateful. And then I think that just eggs them on, because from the ideology, they don't believe themselves. A large swath of them don't believe themselves to be hateful. I think like you have to understand where these people are coming from, to understand like why they do the things they do, so that you can understand like how you can address the concern, other than saying like this is all the same.
It still comes from a place of hate, though.
Yeah.
I believe it still comes from a place of hate.
I guess I think it comes from a place of fear. I think like people have these thoughts because of fear. I think like even if you're self-selecting, like if you're a black person that's self-selecting for other black people in a certain environment or what have you, I think it's coming from a place of fear. Even if people say it's about empowerment, it's about like lifting ourselves up, there's also an idea of, if we don't do this, what is the alternative? We have to do this. It's survival. It's like, I think it's coming from a place of fear.
So
I think white nationalism.
So something that I really don't like about role reversal arguments, and people might try to like push back on this, is that, in my opinion at least, if we want to use role reversal arguments, the two things that we are like reversing and like swapping places with, to a degree, have to be equal and have to be on like equal footing. The problem is when you do role reversal arguments with like gender, race, and what have you, the two things you're comparing oftentimes are not in any way, shape, or form equal, no matter how many times you cite the Constitution saying that all men are created equal, shit like that. And That's
This
genuinely
is
my.
this is
Oh, like,
terrible.
I can't believe I'm
Um,
agreeing with Prime.
I,
These are really bad arguments. You can't. You're not
What do
gonna be
you
able
mean?
to. You're never going to be able to to say like, oh, I understand black people choosing to date within their race, but white people aren't allowed to do that same thing. Like, of course they are. Like, it's
They're allowed
they're human
to.
beings.
They're allowed to. It's just
But you're
But
saying
it,
they
just
it
shouldn't.
understanding.
but this is the
Like,
thing is
Understanding like where that
it's
comes from.
it's not about the end. It's about understanding the difference in why they made the choice. You're saying that it's the same reasons they made the choice. No. So
saying on
why
that,
is it not the
it's
of
an
course
same?
it could be.
individual
It's not the
choice. It can be absolutely.
Of course it could be.
It's
Mm,
it's not a
it's the
course it
systemic
same
could
choice.
be.
It's an
reasons.
individual
No,
choice.
they can have the same like the on the individual level they can have the same reasons.
I don't
We're
believe
talking
so.
about the
I
individual.
believe that I
like
believe the
just
further
like
you go,
just like Tatiana said, my father was a black man. I'm more attracted to black men. A white woman can say the very same thing, and that would be an equal reason. Now, if she said, now, a reason that would be problematic is like, black people don't make. If I marry a black guy, we won't make enough money, or it's highly likely for me to have a certain lifestyle, or I won't be able to get into certain areas, because they're gonna treat me differently because I have a black boyfriend or black husband. Just look at celebrities. A lot of them marry white, and you see them do it in theirs
Especially
because
football
it's like their
players.
social circle.
Especially
Yep,
football
Well,
it's a
players.
social circle.
Or
So
just star
now,
football players.
I want
Now,
to.
I'm not saying that they actively don't choose black women, but it's just that you just don't see them going out of their way to marry black women.
I'm sorry, we're getting away from the point that I really want to address. Wiggle, you were trying to say something, and then I would like to respond to it because I haven't been able to do that in a while.
I guess the major point is that like where the people make these decisions, I think the further you go down, there's going to be, in the vast majority of cases, a difference. So if I say that I'm choosing someone because I just like what their skin color is, and then to cut it off there and be like, see, it's the same, that's the same, then like why wouldn't you go a step deeper and be like, why do you like this certain skin color more? Why do you like these things? And then I think at some point it's like you're gonna understand there's differences between why people have these these thoughts, and you can divide those differences by the history that they've experienced.
Yes,
Like
everyone.
I can understand somebody saying I want to kill rich people. Rich people should be guillotined or something, because they lived their whole life being poor and screwed over by rich people. I would say that's a bad ideology. You're advocating for people's death. But if they gave me the historical context, I'd be like, "Oh, I understand. I accept that you think that way. If you're wrong, but like, who am I? You know?"
So what I guess were the two things. First of all, right, this idea of understandable bigotry, right? Like,
Yeah.
like you watered it down to the point. Oh, I understand the mechanics of their bigotry, right? Yeah, I can understand the mechanics of all bigotry, right? Like understandable. If that's how you're defining it, I think it's completely useless term, right? Because
How
I
so?
can understand if all it is, how you're defining, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that I understand why they're bigoted, right? Is that just
Empathizing versus sympathizing.
Yeah.
okay? Yeah. So like me personally, Prime, I can understand all bigotry, right? I can get the mechanics as to why a person might land on a specific situation. That is not a useful statement. When you say understandable bigotry, I go to, I believe, a logical statement saying like, okay, then it's I guess sympathizing. Yeah, it's closer to sympathizing with the bigotry, right? Like, because obviously, like, just simply understanding like the steps that they use to get there it's not helpful. It's not helpful.
How is
right?
it not
Like, because
helpful?
people-
It determines
empathy is
how
super
you
helpful.
act.
No, no,
Yeah,
no,
it
no.
determines how you act.
I'm saying that you can understand all of it, though. You can understand. At least I'm capable. Maybe you don't. But like, I do. I understand when I hear
don't
about.
think so.
Excuse me.
I don't think so.
You don't think that I understand all the forms of bigotry that I've been exposed to.
No, I don't think you understand all forms of understand. I don't think you understand where people's bigotry comes from. I don't think so. I don't think you understand
Why-
all. That's a grand
No,
statement.
I
Like,
said when bigotry that I've been exposed. There might be, I don't know, other people. There might be something out there that I haven't. But like, whenever I encounter bigotry, I can understand how they've gotten to the place that they've reached. Right.
You feel like
So
that's
I
normal?
don't.
You
But
feel like
anyway,
that's most
I think it's a useless statement to say that. Oh, I
How's it
simply
useless?
understand because I literally just explained it. I spent
But
like 2 minutes explaining it, so I
but the
don't have to tell you.
importance,
I
the
literally just explained
importance,
that.
it's really important. The importance is to understand like what to do next. If you
I
don't understand where someone's
I'm
coming
saying
from,
I do
how are you supposed to?
understand. I'm saying I
Yes.
do
So then, how is it
understand.
useless? You have to
because
describe
because
understanding it. How's it
because you
useless?
can unless you are incapable of doing that, right? I'm saying that it's a basic function to be able to understand these things.
Not basic.
See, that's
Most
what I
people
think
don't.
it's basic.
Okay,
I disagree with that.
I
I believe
completely
most people think people are racist. Like I think people think like, oh, this person is a bad
But
person.
no,
They're
no.
an
What
evil
he was
human being.
doing though, he's saying understandable bigotry as a when he used it as
Jay
opposed
cooked
to
it, man.
ununderstandable bigotry, right? He was trying to make two different categories, right?
Yeah, I
Yes.
So
agree. That's a different
understandable
conversation.
bigotry, right?
It's close to what I said.
Along the spectrum, right? Along a
Yeah.
spectrum, and then like and this part of and this section of bigotry, understandable bigotry, is basically sympathetic bigotry, as Bam pointed out.
Yeah. Wait.
That's
Wait.
what
So
you
you're saying
did,
that you
but
don't.
that's
So
different
you're
from
saying
the
you don't. You
definition
don't
that you
sympathize.
gave. No.
Yeah. So you're saying. Wait.
No,
So you're saying
no,
you don't.
No,
I'm
saying
I'm working off of what you're saying right now.
No,
I'm
no,
saying,
you're
so
not
you
working
don't.
off from
You
what I'm
don't see these.
saying. You're not working
I'm
off what I'm saying.
addressing what you're
I'm
saying
saying
right
there's
now.
two
Hold on.
different. I'm saying
Okay.
you gave two different definitions.
I'm saying if I gave these two different definitions, you're saying right now, I'm saying like you're saying that you should not be able to sympathize with people that are bigoted. Is that
You should not be able.
because
what
you're
I'm
saying that I'm grouping these separately, and I would agree with what you're saying right now. And you're saying that you wouldn't be able to sympathize. So if people are bigoted, you wouldn't be able to sympathize with those people because like
No,
that's
no, no.
that's
I can sympathize
You
with
would be
people,
able to
but I don't
empathize.
sympathize with the ideology. Like I said previously, with a Philly, right? I can sympathize with them as people, but not their bigotry.
That's what I'm saying. That's empathy. Empathy
Yeah,
is
like,
understanding someone. Sympathy is justifying the understanding of someone.
Yeah, so like okay, empathizing. You
Yeah.
don't empathize. Like I can hear people that are like extremely racist. And then I can sit there and be like, "Oh, listen to them," and be like, "Oh, wow, this person's had like a really hard life. I understand 100% why they think these things and why they live that way, but my life was different." So like, wow, that person's wrong. I wouldn't want that person to maybe vote. I would want that person to seek help or what have you. But I can sit there and be like, I understand completely. Like, there's some Demon Slayer shit. It's like, yeah, I can understand that the person in front of me, why they got to the point they're in. I can try to put myself in their shoes and be like, I can understand how I could end up how they ended up, but I didn't have those life experiences.
I think
and
I
through
think
that,
I think we're
Well
saying the
done,
same
Wiggle.
things from
Well done.
like different angles at this point, right? Because
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying that I'm doing as well. Is that like I
but
can
you
understand
said
the
that I listed
ideology.
these things in two different categories.
Yeah, I'm
of
saying
like,
that you
Well, no, because
ununderstandable
the
and
first,
understandable.
let me clear it for y'all. The first original conversation we were having, which is what I agree to, because I think
Yeah.
both are correct. We were having a conversation if there were some types of bigotry that you could be sympathetic to, that you could say that like, you know what, not only were those people, I understand where those people came from, I also believe they were justified in believing that based on their circumstances, which I believe circumstances exist that make that true. But that's a different conversation from saying that I can empathize with how people are racist. I think there's value to both of these things. Like I said, Prime thinks that the first one isn't true. He thinks there's no situation where you can be like not just understanding, but also like agree with the decisions that people came to that were based in bigotry.
Yeah, I think you can do both. I think there's a measure. Like I agree. I think you can do both.
See, and
I
Prime
think
says
that
no. Like, did you address my runaway slave thing? Like, I believe that's
an
rooted
example,
in
yeah, that's
racial,
an example of the second one. Of
yeah, like they're making these decisions based on race, and you also agree with like, oh, okay, I due to their circumstances, it makes sense to make that decision.
I want to address that, but before then, there was something I wanted to say to Wiggle. The second thing I wanted to say to Wiggle, and it was addressing a point that he made when you started talking previously. But I forget what you said.
are you talking about the example that I gave that was different than Bam's?
Maybe.
I gave an example in which there's something positive that you're gaining from like racism, where it's like, let's say there's like people who have like what's called white guilt that might come up to you and they feel like they owe you something greatly, and then they're benefiting you, they're helping you out, and in those situations,
dating you for white guilt.
in one of those like situations, you're experiencing like racism, but it's helping you. And so most people, I'd imagine if they're black experiencing that, would be like, this is kind of weird, but since it's positive, they'd move on because there's a lot of negative things you experience in your life. A positive thing, fuck it, and just walk on. Like another example is people who think lesser of you in general because you're black, and that's how you get certain positions. Like maybe you get a job, and in that job it's because you're a diversity hire or something, and these people talk to you a certain way, treat you a certain way, but they're being racist, but in their mind they're helping you out. In their mind they're being helpful for you. They're trying to give you opportunities and you're gaining something from it, so you let it happen. So it's like you understand why they think the way they think because they tell you, and you accept it because it benefits you, but it's still racist.
So what? That wasn't the thing I wanted to respond to, but I can try. No, and
Is
I'm
it
not
the
trying
woman?
to. I'm not trying
Is
to
the thing
dodge
about
it.
the flipping of the black and white with the power thing? Because originally what had happened was you were trying to pose something to Bam's girlfriend about if you switch it, and then that's what set this off. Is that for me? I was like, I don't like it when people say let's switch the race or switch the sex, because I don't think those things are like analogous. I think as soon as you switch, there's a power structure there. Like if you say that we live in like a white run country or something like that, or you say we live in a male run country, and then you acknowledge systemic like sexism or systemic racism, I believe that if you switch the race or you switch the sex, you're gonna get something that's disanalogous. It's not going to work that way.
I'll address that. I can't remember what I would originally want to address, but don't worry about it. But I'll address that point, then I'll address Bam's point, then I want to open this back up for everyone else. So, I think the heart of our disagreement is that I think that black people can be interpersonally racist. I think that we can be bigoted towards others, and we can act in a way.
Yeah.
Sorry, what would you say?
Oh, I said I agree. Yeah, you can be racist.
Yeah. So I think you can be bigoted towards others. So when I flip those things, it's easy for me to flip those races because I think one can be interpersonally racist and other one could be that way. Now, like the reasons why might be different, right? Because I acknowledge of the history that we were talking about previously. I get that. But in that moment, right, that person is doing a bigoted action, right? And that's what I'm concerned about, not necessarily the history behind it. Like it could be and I'm not trying to attack Pam's girlfriend. I want to be very clear, right? I'm just like, this is the example we have, right?
Attack her.
Okay. But no, it's just that like in that moment, right, and I don't think she's a terrible person, but like in that moment she could have been like a racist, right? In that moment, she could be like, I think white people are less than, right? If we had heard this, because we heard the same thing flipped around, right? That might be a thought that that goes through people's head, right? When you hear that exact same thought with the racist flipped. So like, but since I believe one can be interpersonally racist, right? Then I believe the other one can be. So when I flip it, it works. It's analogous for me. But you don't seem to think that's the case.
Yeah, no. I think that, like, yeah, at the core of it, like, I would say, yes, both these things are, like, wrong to do. However, I think that, like, the level of harm is different. I think, like, that's why I asked you, do you see this, like, racism on a spectrum? Or do you see, like, there's a spectrum out there? Because for me, like, if a white individual in a specific position was, like, let's say a position of power is, like, I'm not going to date a black person. I don't like the way black people are. Like, I'm not going to date a black person. Versus I hear that out of like a black person in a different position. For me, I'd say like through the historical context, etc., like I would understand where both these people are coming from, and I would think of one being less harmful than the other, both being harmful. Like I'd see like, oh, the black person saying that is less harmful to me than the white person saying that. But I'd say both these things are wrong. Both these things are wrong.
Social.
So I will respond to Bam, and then I want to hear from other people for remaining time that we have on this topic. You talked about the escaped slave, right? I don't think those two. I think that particular there might be other examples that work better than this one.
One extreme.
I know you're making it extreme, but I think in that context it actually does not work, right? Because when you have laws saying that you must report, right, an escaped slave, right, you cannot help an escaped slave. If you do that, that is a crime, right? Then a person, a white individual within that societal context, right, who doesn't think either negatively about black people or even positive, just like has completely indifferent, right, to them, like might report an escaped slave because, hey, I don't want to get in trouble, right? So under that context, under a society that is governed by like little racist laws, and people will be acting with on those laws, right, for just self-interest, I don't think that's the same as bigotry. So
do you think that they would feel the same way about? I
You
hear what you're saying, but do you think that they would feel that same way about black people? Like if they seen black people in that situation? And that's from the same time under the same laws that
Okay.
like, because there was freedmen like that are supposed to be under this obligation to report them. Do you think they would think that this black person is just as likely to, or do you think that they're like being bigoted by holding, like, assuming the worst of white people, that they may not ascribe to black people under the same laws?
Under the same laws, do I think they're being bigoted? It's because, again, I don't think it's a matter of, because I disagree with the premise, because I don't think that judging a white person within that situation is a matter of like necessarily their race. It's dealing with this the governing ethos, right? Of the society in general, right? So since people are acting within that society, I don't think that are reacting to being within that society. I think it makes sense to make different judgment calls there, right? These people aren't acting. I don't think the premise makes sense. So I don't think those two things work.
Last question, and everybody else can jump in. I believe they're using bigotry in the case of self-preservation, based on, like you said, the governing body. Do you not still believe that we live in a society that has a governing body that potentially, in ways, is still against the interest of black people? That black people may feel.
How does that work in the dating realm? In the dating realm, is there a law saying that, or anti-miscegenation laws that are being enforced? There are probably some of them, but like being enforced.
This isn't the question. The original question you said.
It is.
No, the question was, you don't think that there's any situation that bigotry could be understandable in the way of in a justifiable manner? That's the question.
Again, I don't accept your premise, though. That's my problem. That's the problem we're running into, right? You keep relating that to bigotry. I'm saying that there could be an external force acting upon these individuals, cause them to be that way, and to act in the way that they are, and that may have nothing to do with bigotry.
All you're saying is, if it's good, if you justify it, then you remove it from being bigotry. But I feel like it comes from the same place.
I don't think so. I don't know. We can expand on this. Yeah. Does anyone else have anything else to say?
I still hold the same opinion. I think if you have you can't simply flip races and then have the same context. It's different. I think simply because the power differences, it's different. It's if even if it was in this position, it's think about it in the sense of women. It's completely different. But think about it in the sense of men and women in a situation. There's a relationship between a man and a woman, and then someone says, flip the roles, or they say flip the roles, would this be okay? I think that would be disanalogous, because if you acknowledge that we live in a systemic sexist society that's largely caters to men over women, not always, but largely, then you would see there's a historical context that changes people's perspectives. The man and the woman in this position are affected by the society they live in, and switching these roles doesn't make these situations somehow analogous. They're disanalogous because the sex is disanalogous. It's
You,
it's the same with like race. Like being white is not the same in America to being black. Like these things are different. And so when you switch the races within America and the historical context of America, there's different implications. They're not analogous. The
you
same
don't
as if
believe in
you
hypotheticals. Go
Huh?
ahead, Jay. Bet, Jay.
What do you mean I don't believe in hypotheticals?
Yeah, I want to think
I
about
see the
that.
use. I see the
Hypotheticals
use.
is the hypotheticals is like you can isolate a specific thing with like in a hypothetical without changing the entire world. Like we say like and I'm gonna use an example that should be
Yeah.
easy for you to understand. Like if we say like, oh, a guy punches his girlfriend in the
I
face,
understand what a
we say that's
hypothetical is.
bad. But I'm
For
saying
me,
I'm
I
saying
think
that like
that's just a bit like I think that's a bit hyperbolic. Like
no, I'm not
I
being
can see the
hyperbolic.
use. I can see the use in hypotheticals, but I would devalue them like greatly.
But I'm explaining why
to say I wouldn't believe in
because
them
when you
is
do a
odd.
hypothetical, you're isolating you're isolating something. So when we
Yeah.
say, for example, a guy punching a guy punching his girlfriend in the face is really really bad. And if we flip it, it's still bad. But the thing we have to isolate is say like, what if the girl is stronger? What if the girl like is stronger than the guy in the degree that we generally see?
Okay.
Like men are stronger than women.
And I think
Now
like
we've
there's a use.
isolated the issue.
But
Now
there's
we
the
have
thing is
utility.
like I understand what a hypothetical is. I'm saying like I see the use in hypotheticals. I devalue them greatly. Doesn't mean I don't believe in them. Like some prime, it was giving a hypothetical. I see the hypothetical. I can see what he's thinking, and then I think it's useful. I think it's a useful tool. I devalued it by saying I don't think it's that useful. I don't think it's that useful. Doesn't mean I don't believe in hypotheticals. I saw the use of the hypothetical. The use in the hypothetical is that Prime was able to think about the scenario, pose it to an entire audience and the people here, and then they were able to think about this deeper because they believe in the use of hypotheticals. I devalue the hypothetical by saying it's disanalogous, and I think like a lot of the times hypotheticals are. I think a lot of the times people bring up hypotheticals that aren't really analogous, and I see the problems with that, but that doesn't mean I don't believe in the utility of a hypothetical. I think people should still
they
use
are
hypotheticals.
but like I think what Prime he did isolate his what he was talking about. He was isolating the premise of a white girl who felt that way specifically about her dad, like for the exact same reason. So there wasn't anything for us to like, oh, it wouldn't really be like that because that's what Prime
But
isolated.
that's what my disagreement was.
It would be white like
that's what my disagreement was. Is that my disagreement is in Prime's hypothetical, the use of it is I understand through his hypothetical that these are both like bad. That's what I imagine like he wanted. Part of what he wanted is to show both these things are bad. The part I disagreed with is how bad they were. So I still saw use in it. I still saw use. His hypothetical at its core was both these things are bad. If you switch the roles, both these things, you switch the classes, you switch the race, both these things are bad. That's what he wanted to fundamentally have you leave with, from my perspective. And I agreed with that because of his hypothetical. But I just felt it was disanalogous because they're not bad
One's
for the
not
same
as bad
reason.
as the other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Prime. Now you have to ask.
Hold on. Now we
yourself
gotta
the
let Jay go
question.
because I cut off Jay. My bad.
Thanks.
My bad.
Sorry. Sorry. I guess I had it was too wiggle, but I'm gonna open up to the panel because I know he's been talking for a minute. But Wiggle, you said something along the lines of it would feel, or it would be less harmful for someone of your race to tell you something negative, but I can't remember what the negative thing was. I think it was like they don't like you or something like that, or that they don't want to date you or because of your race. Yeah, I think it was that, right?
No. It was like it was positive racism. So it's like I would feel like it's like not that bad if somebody came up to me and thought something good of me, thought something better than me because like they looked down upon me. So like say someone gave me a handout because they're like I'm black. So they think of me in their mind as
I'm sorry. I thought you were applying it to dating.
Oh yeah. If it was applied to dating in some way, I'd imagine if a black person, like for me particularly, if I was looking at somebody that is white, for me personally, I'm like I immediately go from the understanding of this person, I assume, knows less about like black racism, like the racism black people experience in America. and I immediately make that determination. But that in itself is like, you would say it's racist. Like people with Prime's ideology, I imagine, which is a large amount of people. It's not like it's a majority of people in the country believe that's racist. To just make that assumption, I make that assumption, but that doesn't stop me, like as I was saying earlier, from limiting my choices. It's just something I'm always running under the standing of, where I just assume someone who's black should understand racism black people experience more than like someone who's white. But I accept that. I understand why that's the case, and I accept it for that category. And that if somebody else says that's why I only date black people, is because black people understand the black experience in America. I understand why they think that way. I understand that, and it comes from that acceptance of I understand that because there's so many experience that you'll have anecdotally where you're with somebody who is white that doesn't truly understand the experience of being black in America, even if you were to explain to them or give them a ton of hypotheticals and have them try to learn that. So I understand where those people come from. I don't make the same decisions as them, but I wouldn't vilify them that way, and that's what I consider acceptable. But would I say the same for like a white person? I don't know. Like if white people were to look at black people and say they don't understand what it's like to be white in America. They don't understand the discrimination that white people experience. So I'm only going to date people that are like white, because on the face I see black people as people that don't understand what it's like to be white in America. And then they made their racial like dating choices that way, where it's like most of the black people I knew, they didn't understand the experience of being white in America. And that's something that means a lot to me. And then they said that and they believe that, and that's why they chose to date within their own race. For me, I can understand why they think that way. I would vilify them more than the black person. But I would understand
Oh,
like why they think that.
interesting. Why?
Because the historical context. I think like the understanding of like being white in America from somebody that
But
not white, I think is easier to understand than somebody who is like white trying to understand what it's like to be black in America. I think there's a greater problem with trying to understand what it's like to be disenfranchised and like group like black people in America compared to like being a group that's supposed to be or supposedly in power. So it's like I think that's how it. I think that's how it's like. For me, it's like this is
I feel
completely
like you're
different.
describing two separate things. Like
I know.
Like not what
that's
Prime
my
is
argument.
saying, but
That's my argument
like
is that
you're
they're two
making.
separate things. Like that's my argument is that these things are disanalogous. However, I can
No,
understand them.
You
not in
guys
that
are
way.
putting up the similarities. More, you're seeing more of the similarities more than the differences.
Yeah, because it sounds like, I guess what I thought Wiggle was talking about was like experiences, and I feel like experiences shape your preferences, right? So like you were saying with like how you live on Long Island, and like that's that's something you can change, like whether you live on Long Island, where you live in the city. I think your experience is something that really shapes you, and that's harder to change.
I agree. I don't see how that goes against anything, but like I agree. Like I think like the experiences you have in your life do shape you, and it makes it harder for you to change. But if that's, to me, that seems separate. But in that aisle of conversation we're going there, you'd have to ask yourself, do you think it's impossible to change someone? I think there's a point in time where allocating my like personal resources, my time to try and changing somebody's opinion who they've had so many life experiences telling them one thing, I think is less valuable than going to somebody that's more malleable. I think going to somebody that, say, has had a horrific life and has experienced so much bigotry or what have you. Let's say somebody who is black that's experienced a shitload of racism, overt racism from white individuals. I would say like it's more, for me, it's more valuable to put my time into changing the minds of like a ton of fresh faces than somebody that is like a broken man or a broken woman who it's much harder to like they've already heard hundreds of me, and they've already gotten to their position and they've already made that stake, versus going to someone who's malleable, who says, teach me about race, what should I like, what should I think, like I want to hear everybody's opinion, versus somebody that is like more conservative in their mindset, not like their politics but in their mindset.
Okay. I get that, but I guess I don't get like why you would vilify a white person for that.
For that decision, that's
yeah.
personal. That's personal. But like I can tell you why is that like if you're a person for me in my life, like I would say if I am a person that is black, that is upper middle class, like I live in an upper middle class lifestyle, I can understand. I believe from my life experiences what it's like to be discriminated against, but not as much as somebody who lives somewhere else for being black, because I faced that discrimination even though my wealth class wasn't the same. Versus somebody, I imagine if they were white, the discrimination that they felt from black people for being white. Perhaps I understand what some men might think. I've heard some of them say like, well, why do you call it white privilege? I understand like we're advantaged by society, but like that doesn't mean I'm privileged. I work every day. I work harder than you. And like they tell me that I have this thing called privilege. And like why does society expect me to be in this higher position? It's not that easy. And my father had more wealth than me, and his grandfather had more wealth. And I understand where these people are coming from, and I understand that. I think it's easier for me to but I think it's easier for me to understand that and understand like that framing of thinking, and then I see it as wrong, but I understand where they're coming from, versus going to somebody like who is like black, who's experienced like racism from like white people, and then expecting somebody who's white to understand that. I don't think it works that way. I've tried to explain to people that are like white how it is the experience of being black every day. And it's not as easy. It's really not as easy. It's like going if I were to go to a woman or a female presenting person, a femme presenting person, and try to understand what it's like to be femme presenting. I can listen to them and I can listen to as many hypotheticals as possible, but at the end of the day, the most I can be is like an ally. I can't I don't think until I'm femme presenting, I don't think I can have that experience to the same extent. But I think I can understand what it's like for somebody who's in a position of power, even though I don't understand what it's like to be white. I don't understand what it's like to be a white person, but I understand what it's like to be somebody who is more privileged, who's gotten something and is treated better for it, because I think that's tied to like easier concepts, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does.